Hot as hell in the UK today, but here we are with video number 3. This is really important. This is so important. And I would like to start with something you'll recognize. Think about the last time you had a really low productivity day, not a lazy day, but a difficult, overloaded day where things just didn't come together, where you had intentions but not execution. So at the end of the day, what did you feel? Take a moment, try to name the actual feeling. For most of us, it's not just frustration. Frustration would make sense. You didn't get the things done that you wanted to get done. That's reasonable. But usually there's something closer to a deep dissatisfaction with yourself, something closer to shame. And that distinction really matters because frustration is about the day and shame is about identity. Frustration says, that didn't go the way I wanted. Let me see why. But shame says, that didn't go the way I wanted. There's something wrong with me. I can't do it. And if what you feel at the end of the day is closer to shame, to not feeling right yourself, that's the clue about what we're working with today, because it tells you something important about what your output means and not about who you are. It tells something important about the story you're running underneath all of this, right? So there is a myth that we've accepted largely without examining it or looking at it carefully. Anyway, we've accepted that productivity is also a measure of personal worth, that a good day means we're good, a slow day means something about who we are. We're not so good. And this has been installed also from when we were children, right? So when you've been good, you get praised, and you get your homework done. Oh, you're wonderful. And even if parents do not, they do tend to try and give unconditional love, but it's just the words they use with you. And they say, oh, well done, you're so good. And you've done something, you produced something, you made something, you finished your homework, you passed an exam, all of the stuff that happens as you grow up. And so that gets into our sense of self-worth, and who we are is really tied into with what we do, right? So your discipline, your output, your visible results, the things you can show, that's the story that tells what you are. And hustle culture has made this very explicit. You work harder, you produce more, you optimize everything. Your output, your production is your identity. Your morning routine really defines your character. Your calendar is your worth, how busy you are, and everything that goes on in there. And it feels really motivating for a while. And I don't pretend that it never produces results. It does. But the problem is what happens when it stops working, because the system will eventually have a bad day. And if the system is you, then you had a bad day. And the deeper problem is that a system built on identity cannot be examined clearly, because every time you look at the system, you're not looking at a workflow or at a structure, you're looking at yourself. And there is a flip to this. So I'm trying to structure these videos in what the problem is, how to flip it, and there's like the mechanisms behind it and everything, so that things are very clear. So your output, your production, what you make is a reflection of your system, not your character. Productivity is something you do. It's not something you are. And the moment it becomes identity, the moment I had an unproductive day becomes I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, it stops being a useful measure of output and starts to be a threat to your self-worth. And these are completely different things with completely different consequences, big consequences. So one is information about your system. We got that. The other is information about who you are. And conflating them together means you can never look clearly at the system, because every time you look at it, you're really just looking at yourself. And that's why very smart people spend years trying to fix their productivity and they don't get there, because they're not fixing a system. They're defending an identity. And identities aren't fixable in the same way that systems are fixable. So the mechanism behind all this is, when output is identity, the brain will protect the identity, not the output. It doesn't care. When productivity is identity, every slow day is like an existential threat. And the brain works in funny ways. And when it faces an God, what a word, an existential threat, it will do almost anything to avoid it. And that means that it will fill slow days with really low value activity that looks like work, like busyness, checking emails instead of doing hard things, creative things, reorganizing, restructuring instead of creating, color coding everything, making lists, making new systems that you're going to forget about tomorrow, being busy without actually being productive. So we call this the Faff Zone. And we will go into it in real depth later in the series. There's going to be a video just on this. But the important thing for now to understand right now is what the Faff Zone actually is. So the Faff Zone is not laziness. It's like identity management in a way. The brain finds a way to feel like work is happening without putting your identity on the line. Because if you don't try the hard thing, you can't fail at the hard thing. And if you don't fail, there is no evidence that you're not enough, right? Makes sense. There's another cost that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is rest becomes impossible. Rest, real rest, requires you believing that your value exists independent of what you're producing. It doesn't matter what you're producing, you still deserve rest. And without that, rest becomes guilt. You sit down on a Sunday afternoon, and instead of recovering and resting and enjoying yourself, you're mentally sort of in the back of your head cataloging everything you should be doing, everything that you didn't do last week, everything you're late with. And so when you get back to work, you're just depleted instead of recharged. And the harder you push during the week, the worse the guilt gets. So it's a system that feeds itself. Hustle culture has monetized this equation. You can sleep when you're dead. Your competitors are working right now. You should be doing stuff. Oh, this means you don't want it badly enough. And I want to make this very clear. This is not motivation. It's like a psychological corrosion. It produces exactly the kind of like burnt out, fragmented, shame driven type of execution. And that keeps you from doing your best work, not for a week, but for years. There are industries built around this idea, and they are profiting from this gap between who you are, what you think you should be, and your shame, and you're being stuck in there is their business model. And when I say that, I'm not being provocative just because I like to be provocative. I mean it. I really mean it. So there is, the next time you see there's the new planner and a new system and the new program that promises to make you more productive, you have to notice what it's implying about you and why you aren't productive right now. And this really needs to be named, and I want to call it out because it annoys me. So separating your identity from your output, I don't like the word, but that's what it is a prerequisite. Good words today. I wrote it down. Prerequisite for doing better. prerequisite for doing better. So separating, like we said, identity from output is not a permission. It's not a permission to to do less. When your worth is not on the table every time you sit down to work, something shifts. You can make clearer decisions because you're not looking at the system, you're not defending yourself. You can take bigger risks because a failed attempt is not a verdict on your character. And you can recover from setbacks without spiraling, because the setback is data, it's information, it's not evidence. And actually, fail faster, fail smarter, all of that. That's a really good advice. And it's about making stuff and getting it wrong. Your productivity, what you make, right or wrong, failed or not, is a reflection of your system. It's not a reflection of your reflection of your worth. So disentangling these two things is some of the most important work you will do. It's hard. So this starts by noticing the difference between your frustration and a sense of shame, because now you know what this distinction is pointing you at, and you can see the difference and you can do something about it. So the system that drives your output is fixable. We're going to start on that now. And the first thing we're going to fix is one of the most famous pieces of productivity advice in existence. You almost certainly heard it. You probably tried to follow it. And there's a very good chance it's being, working subtly against you. And we're going to tackle that next time. See you then. Before you go, I have a big favor to ask. This channel, I want it to be free for everyone. I'm going to put everything that I know out in these sessions for free forever. But I need your help to grow it and to make it work. So please subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when the next one comes up. And also, if you want to be invited to be an audience when we record the sessions and have time to ask questions, because this is how we roll and it's a different way of doing stuff, and look in the links and subscribe to the newsletter, and then you'll get an invite. And if you want, you can see what the next topic is, and you can register to be there with me. So please subscribe and get on the newsletter, and we'll make tons of these, and I hope you're going to love them. Thank you.